They say that everything good must come to an end. And the next set of Salvage Hunters we shot last year and airs in the fall is my last. So take care, everyone. Thanks a lot. Drew Pritchard became famous through Salvage Hunters, where his love for antiques and a knack for finding hidden made him a favorite among people who love treasures. Fans. For years, people watched him travel all over the country to fix and sell things that are hard to find. But as time went on, many began to worry what had occurred to Drew and why things seemed to change. From his announcement about stepping away from the show to dramatic changes in his business, Drew's life took a different turn. Join us as we discuss what really happened to Drew Pritchard. 750 pounds. How about 300? Well, to replace it, if you were lucky, would be 750 cuz it's quite a decent one. It's a pretty nice one. I can't play 750 since I don't have any money. In it, I need to make money. A lot has occurred to Drew Pritchard since the show Salvage Hunters premiered on TV, but none got as much as his recent announcement about not being on the show anymore. Drew has been the face of Salvage Hunters for years, showing up in over 240 episodes. His keen eye for his unique style and love of antiques made he stood out. When he started working on the show, he called it one of the best things that happened to him in 2011, the best chance of his career. He said that working on Salvage Hunters had been a luxury and that his main purpose was always been to show people what the antique trade was truly like. The format of the presentation was basic. Every episode followed him as he went across to the United Kingdom in pursuit of old things. He went to stores, fairs, warehouses, and even residences in the country. What he discovered, he acquired, fixed up, and sold at his base in Conwy. The idea worked because it was real. All the deals were real, and Drew was in charge of every restoration, everyday existence. There were no staged reactions. What people witnessed showed what really transpired in the business. Alice Dister, one of his co-stars, Dryberg, also talked on why the show worked so well. He remarked that making the movie there were no produced scenes. Everything was real. The crew recorded for hours just to get a few minutes of TV, but the outcome was worthwhile because what was seen was real. They paid for each thing with their own cash and took the same chances as any other pro the dealer. That promise to be real was something Drew always wanted. Drew made his announcement in the spring of 2024 when he said that the 20th season of Salvage Hunters would be his last. He told them that he had been thinking about it for a while and feeling it was time to move on. After so many years of making movies and traveling, the job never stopped had an effect. He still made it plain that his choice came from a place of calm and pride. He thought the show had done what it wanted to do and that it was now ready with a strong crew to move it forward. As Drew's last season's episode, as the day got closer, supporters started to think of how much the show had done. Not many series had kept so committed to their goal for so long, but Salvage Hunters was able to make it interesting for people who probably never have been to an antique shop. Drew brought old things to life, again by telling their experiences and illustrating how they could get a second life. Drew's leaving was a big deal. Despite big change, he quit the show in good hands. He said that the series will go on with trusted dealers and close friends, such as Alice Dister Dryberg, Vicky Knott, and a new face not yet shown. He also wanted to know fans should retain an open mind and give the same help for the new crew that they had provided to him when he first started. Drew has been getting a lot of support. Married to Rebecca, his wife who supports him, for more than 20 years. But sadly, many people thought their love story would end. But it didn't. You see, the Pritchards' love the plot started in the early 1990s and was based on a love of antiques that they all share fixing up. Rebecca was working at the time in fashion, whereas Drew on the other hand, was only starting to grow his business selling antiques. Their paths met when Rebecca went to Drew's store, and that meeting changed all of it. What started off as a simple conversation immediately degenerated into a connection that neither of them saw coming. They had the same creative vision and a wish to bring back old things life. That common interest turned into friendship and then romance. After dating for a few months, they made the decision to bring their relationship to the next level. They got married and started making a family together. As time went on, they worked together more and more. The basis of both their family and the business they own. They looked like a couple who has created not just a profitable business and living a full life together, but there was turmoil brewing behind the scenes. Go ahead to 2017. Drew's life change took an unexpected turn when news of his life became public. According to several stories, Drew was said to be had a relationship with a woman named Amanda Thomas. They met because of Drew's son, and what began as cordial chats between parents turned into something more deeply. The exact order of it's not obvious what their relationship is, but things got Amanda's spouse, Janice, took a turn. Bryn Thomas found out what was going on. People looked up to Janice as a businesswoman who owned a crane firm that did well in North Wales. He didn't notice at first, nothing strange at first, but over time he started to see Drew's name pop up on his wife's phone over and over. A lot of calls and texts raised doubt. When he finally faced when I told Amanda about it, she admitted to it. Relationship. Guilty, and Amanda was determined to save her marriage. Decided to end things with Drew. Drew, on the other hand, didn't handle the breakup well. He sent her after Amanda cut ties. A text message that made fun of her husband and calling him a coward. Amanda showed the message to Janice, which led to a series of heated events that quickly became news for the public. A few days later, Janice faced Drew at the Liverpool Arms, a well-liked bar in Conwy, North Wales. That Janice punched someone after a fight Drew a few times before others stepped in to split them up. Because of Drew's becoming a TV star, the incident got a lot of attention right away from both the local and national press stores. The story got around immediately. They alerted the police to the location, and later, Janice was arrested and charged with court. The situation also made Drew had troubles. Even though he was the victim in the fight, the news coverage damaged his good name. Reports said that he was put on a temporary pub watch list, which means he can't going into neighborhood pubs while the issue was getting checked out. People said he was been a part of another argument with a man whose name is not known, lead to a permanent ban from a number of pubs in the area. But that was just the start of his difficulties. At that moment, Drew was still legally married at the time of the event. Married to Rebecca Pritchard. The two had worked together for years, both on TV and in the workplace. But when Rebecca heard the news, their trust in each other dissolved. A few months after, Rebecca filed for divorce after the event, officially terminating their marriage after for a long time together. Even though Drew and Rebecca were legally separated, managed to stay professional. They still showing up together on Salvage Hunters, keeping their personal problems to themselves as little as possible from their work. Rebecca worked hard on her design projects and finding antiques while Drew kept running his business and front the program. This went on until Rebecca eventually left the show after the 18th season. Even if she didn't, the goodbye video didn't say why she was leaving. Salvage Hunters posted that she aspires to take on new tasks and wants to make room for the next on the show. After their divorce was complete, and Pritchard's settlement of money caught the public's attention because of how useful their assets that were shared. Even though the people said the breakup was friendly, but the court said that Rebecca should get portion of their shared riches, thought to be worth $8 million. The split of property was taken care of to make sure both equitably and could move on with their lives. Forward with their lives. Among their settlement included assets like family home, an 18th century chapel that Drew bought it in 1995. The land was at Conway, North Wales, and had become one of Drew's most amazing projects. When it was offered for sale for £795,000, it showed the attention and skill that went into it that had been done to fix it. It is also safe to conclude that the church had a blend of history and charm. Before owned by MC, the lead singer of the Rolling Stones, Jagger, the house was more than a way to tell if you were successful. It stood for Drew's love for restoring things and the life he and Rebecca had made together, while the money settlement attracted Drew and Rebecca got the public's attention. Concentrated on making sure their family was stable. They worked together to raise their two kids with care, working together instead of fighting. They both agreed that their kids' peace of mind was more important than anything else. Although the divorce and the money settlement hurt Drew, his most recent project made things worse for him in new ways to sell a lot of his old things. Drew is noted for buying and fixing up anything old that is worth something. Over the years, he turned lost treasures into bits that others love. His most recent challenge came when he bought a historic $1.5 million for a Georgian townhouse in Bath. The property had a past, and Drew's ambition was to reach his full potential, bring it back to its former splendor. But what began as a dream quickly became one of the hardest things he's done so far. Drew started the project with a clear plan, putting away £200,000 for the fixing up. He thought that some would do much of the work, but inside his ideas started to fall apart after a few months. The price of supplies and work went up a lot, and is still going up. It was hard to stay because of inflation within the budget. Plumbing and electricity working alone ended up costing more than $150,000, which doesn't leave much money to finish the rest of the renovation. Drew had to do things to keep the project going. Some tough decisions. He made the choice to sell his old warehouse and give away everything he had accumulated for himself for almost 30 years. These were not normal parts. They were things that had emotions and stories from his lengthy work with antiques. Letting them go wasn't easy, but it was the only way he could get money to keep going with his fixing up. There are roughly 600 antiques in all, were put up for auction. The set contained unusual items like a skull of an Irish elk that has been petrified, and Drew had a model of Steamboat Willie bought for £3,500 and then sold for £5,500. Some sales went well, but many goods didn't meet their reserve price. When Drew understood the auction was over, total amount raised would still not be enough to finish the job. As weeks, the problem got worse as time went on. More difficult. Drew told the builder that if new funds did not come in soon, the renovation would have to stop. Money didn't come in immediately. He wanted a speedy fix, but none arrived. There was no alternative choice. He chose to stop the project. Instead of finishing the full thing, he worked on finishing the top of the house first, 2 levels so he could move in. These included his bathroom, bedroom, and rooms for guests. The rest of the sections of the structure was not finished. For Drew, this was more than just a money setback. He had always been proud of fixing up old buildings, and having to stop in the middle of a project went against all he stood for. He still opted to think of it as a short-term thing. Stop, not a failure. Moving into the finished half of the house afforded him time to think about what to do next while the rest of the property safe until he may go back to work. The bath, for now part of the property, has been fixed up. Its walls that are both beautiful and not done dreams. Drew still lives in the finished part with the kind of history he's lived through saving. Even though the project was hard for him, it also showed his more than most strength and love for his job. But the property that wasn't finished in Drew had more than one problem with Beth faced. Drew has always been he worked hard, and his determination paid off. In 2017, when he opened his famous store for old things in Conway, not like most modest, old-fashioned stores that sell antiques, Drew's business was a landmark, even though it was little. People from all around the world gathered to after watching him on Salvage, View It, people who hunt, and eventually the store became more than a company. It became a place to go. It gave Conwy life, attracting visitors and those who adore antiques who wanted to see the area they had seen on TV. The shop's success went far beyond local customers. It drew in a lot of different clients, includes famous people, designers, and tours of restaurants. Each person who came was there for something else. Some to get ideas, to buy, and many only to appreciate the skill that went into it. For the store did well for years, and it became a part of Conway's identity. There were more people that came to the town, and the people who lived there gave Drew credit for putting Conwy on the map. His store didn't only sell artifacts. It brought more tourists to the area and made other people proud of keeping old stuff safe. Things were going smoothly until the unthinkable took place. Drew stunned people in May 2022. Everyone was shocked when he said he would be shutting down the store. He didn't only giving a brief explanation that it was time to move on to other fields. Fans were shocked. A lot of people have traveled a long way only to go to the famous store, and it was like losing a friend when it closed. Part of history. It was the end for Conway, the end of a time. The store had become a part of the town center, and its closing made a hole that couldn't be quickly filled. Not long after Drew closed, after the doors closed, a collection of restaurants in the area took throughout the place. While business continued in a different way, but many still remembered the store for what it stood for. For Drew, the end signaled a change. He kept on sell things online for his business, digital channels for selling antiques. But it wasn't the same for a lot of faithful supporters. The Conway store was more than a showroom. It had been a slice of life. the past. As for history, Drew and John T, his sidekick, has definitely shared a long trip. Drew once said about growing up in North Wales, where he and John T spend their days going to the beaches. They would look for ancient oars and pieces for boats that had came ashore. After getting there, took them home and sold them on the side of the road. Those first days revealed how much both boys loved finding out and being naturally curious about making something out of things that are no longer useful helpful. That's where their friendship started, founded on hard effort and creativity. As that bond never went away as they became older. Long before anyone started looking for salvage thing, I was already learning and acquiring experience by working with Drew at his store for old things. He got the patience needed for long treks, concentration needed to uncover hidden treasures, and the happiness that came from fixing up old things. By the time the T already knew exactly what to do when the show started. What to do, and they became a team that people adored. In the show, T was the one who usually carried hefty parts, aiding with the deals, and making jokes while driving for a long time. His sense of humor made the show feel good, and his Drew and I had a lot of chemistry, why many stayed hooked to the screen. That is why it came as a fans were surprised to hear that John T had went away from Salvage Hunters. Even though there were reports that T left after some conflicts, such assertions were later disproved. Later reports confirmed that there was no reason for T to go, argument or disagreement. It was just a subject of contracts. His deal with the production team was done, and he chose not to renew it for the next time of year. In the business of entertainment, contracts are very important for who remains and who goes, and T chose to depart after years of hard work. A year, and Drew also made his a few months later. Announcement. Drew's choice is without a doubt fans were most astonished, and many are wondering what will happen to him next. So, what's next for Drew Pritchard? Well, Drew has intimated that he might be stopping watching TV altogether. Even though he didn't entirely shut the door on television, his main emphasis currently is on his personal life and the work he does to fix things. He has been hard fixing up his Georgian townhouse in Bath, which used to be appeared in the spin-off Salvage Hunters, restoring Georgian houses. Drew has mentioned that he wants to keep going, doing what he has always done best, looking for antiques and fixing them. He still buys and sells, and he still collected and still enjoys making old things new again. He has also indicated that he wants to spend more time on his car collection, which is another desire that has always been with him his job. Leaving TV after 14, Drew didn't make the decision to leave years ago easily. Seems happy with his pick. His time on Salvage Hunters gave him a legacy that will stay and recognition long after the last episode has aired.